him the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Who's talking about playoffs? This guy's not. Absolutely not. Welcome, everybody. This is your OGFFL Week 14 video show. I'm, of course, your host, your commissioner, but most importantly, still your current OGFFL champion, Mr. Robert Triano. That's right. I am not talking about playoffs because I did not make the playoffs this year. First time in 4 years. But you know what? Hey, once in a while, you can't make them all. You can't make them all, but once in a while, you got to go for a draft pick. And that's what I'll be doing for this week. First matchup, me versus George. Get ready. We're not talking about the playoffs. We're not talking about the consolation bracket yet. What I'm going to do this video show is going to be not too long. We're going to look at a year in review, kind of. We're going to look at the final rankings. We're going to look at the overall payout so far, regular season recap. We're going to look at, let's see. We're going to look at a couple things just to recap the season. A great season by everybody here in OGFFL. What is this, the 5th year officially for OGFFL we're counting, because we have 4 champions on that trophy right over there. So, yeah, another great season. But first things first, we got to congratulate Gio on his Week 13 high score. He's 4th in the last 6 weeks. Congratulations. That officially puts you at $200, getting you back your $200 entry fee. And you know what? We might as well just go over it. So congratulations, Gio, for the high score again. And congratulations on your regular season #1 seed championship. Congratulations with a 10-3 record and highest points in the league. So, I mean, always the topic is, should the #1 seed get the $100? Should the highest points get the $100? Well, both were the #1 seed this year. So congratulations to you, Gio. You officially get the 200 for the regular season high scores, and the 100 now for the regular season champ. That's $300 in your pocket so far. We haven't even done the playoffs yet. Then myself, I ended up with $100 for 2 high scores. Richard Mark, $100 for 2 high scores. Alex, $100 for 2 high scores. So look at that. 4, 6, 8, 10 high scores went to 4 people. So 10 and a 13. Then you got Matt with $50, Ramiro with $50, and Joe with $50. We still have $900 to go with the champ. It's $550 to go with the second place, and $200 money back for third place. Battling. But congratulations to Gio, the big winner so far this season. And, of course, congratulations to Alex, who had an easy victory this week. But you still, that 10-3, you go into the #2 seed and a bye going into the playoffs. Congratulations. So, of course, and rounding out the top, the other 4 playoffs, we got Richard Mark in third place. Congratulations. And, of course, as I open up the app here, I am not prepared, as you can tell. I don't have my sheets as usual. We've got league standings. Andrew in 4th place. Congratulations. Miguel, I should have known you got 5th because you lost this week. To Joe, who ended up in 6th place. Congratulations. And that's exactly how I called it. What happened, what I said was going to happen, happened. Gio and Alex won. They took the 1 and 2 spot. I knew, I said that was going to happen. I knew Miguel was going to lose to Joe. Now, Joe needed Matt to lose to Richard Mark, which I said would happen. And then, what did I say? Oh, and then I said Ed was going to beat Ramiro, and Ramiro was going to be out no matter what. Didn't matter if you, because Joe won, and he outscored him in points. But it is what it is. I told you 6-7 record was going to make the playoffs, and it did. So congratulations to your playoff people. And, of course, congratulations to Matt and Ramiro on officially not being able to win the Toilet Bowl trophy this year, as you guys have buys in the consolation bracket. Congratulations. So it'll be me versus George and Ed versus Ramazan for technically the first round of the Toilet Bowl trophy. The loser of those 2 matchups faces off for who gets the Toilet Bowl this year. All right. So we're not really going to go do any news and notes because we're not going to go into this week's playoff bracket, this week's playoff matchups until this next week. I'm hoping maybe Thursday night I can do that for you guys, but I will get a video out there going into this week's stuff. So even after waiver wire, maybe I'll look at the waiver wire going into the playoffs. But right now, we're going to be looking at the final rankings, the final power rankings of OGFFL 2016. Yup, that's right. I know this is going to come with a lot of flack, but yours truly is your number one team in the final power rankings to end the season. That's right. My team, Bob, Dream Crushers, would have been the number one seed in the playoffs if every team faced each other every single week, just proving the consistency of my team. Now I know, as you guys are looking at that, you're going to go back and pause and look at the final rankings, but it's true. If our team placed everybody, and that's, you guys know how I get my rankings now, if everybody's team faced everybody every single week, my team would have finished in first place with 90 victories on the season. 90. That's how consistent my team was all year. That's how unlucky I was with my playoff schedule, which we'll go into that a little bit in a second, just because I'm going to rant for 2 seconds about my team. But as you see, myself, I finish the year. Now listen, I may finish in last place in the regular season, and who knows if I get a draft pick, who knows if I win the toilet bowl. But all I can say is my team was overall the most consistent, best team in the league throughout the year from week 1 to week 13. That's all I can say. That's all I can say, because honestly, I'm not taking this trophy home this year. I'm not taking barely any money home from playoffs this year. No, nothing of that. I can't. The only thing I can put on my back, on my shoulders, and what I can say is that my team was the most consistent all year round. But let's look at everybody else. So, really, as you see, if you go back and pause, 5 of the top 6 teams of the power rankings ended up being playoff teams. You got Gio right there at number 2. He's the number 1 seed. Richard Mark, the number 3 seed. They're number 3 in these power rankings. Alex was on been on a lull the last couple of weeks with his team. He's in 4th, but he finishes 2nd in the regular season. Andrew finishes 4th. He's in 5th in the power rankings, and Joe finishes 6th, and he's in 6th in the power rankings. The only team that didn't make it into the top 6 of the power rankings, but did make it into the playoffs, is our boy Miguel, who finished 10th in the final standings in the power rankings and actually moved down a spot. Now it's cool if you go back a couple of weeks. Gio overall has his team is just skyrocketed the last couple of weeks. Again, like I said, winning 4 of the last 6 highest points. His team has been killing it. I believe he was low end bottom 6, if not out of the top 6, and they just climbed the rankings the last couple of weeks, absolutely killing it, almost overtaking myself as the number one team in the power rankings. But to finish off, so 7 ended up being Matt. He fell out the last couple of weeks. George and finished 8th. Ramiro finished 9th. Miguel 10th. Ed 11th. And Ramazan 12th. Ramazan, you've been down there all year round. You had some injuries. What just wasn't a good year for your team. But listen, that crap happens. It happens. So as we move on, now, I've been always thinking, like, everyone's like, oh, well, how do you make it a fair advantage to where, because I had such a schedule that I keep facing high points. This is no fair. I get like 3rd highest score, but I'm facing a high score every single week. That's not fair. When how people do it is, some leagues, what they do is, it's, yes, you have the head-to-head, but you face everybody else in the season, in the week. So if I get high score, I get 11 points. If I face second high, I get 10 points. 3rd, 9, and so on and so forth. Now that's a good way, but it takes away from the head-to-head battle. So this whole last week, yeah, it would have been, we had these head-to-head battles that wouldn't have mattered in reality, because everybody would have had to face everybody. So what happens if you give everybody a bonus point for head-to-head victories? The standings would have looked like this if we did that. Now that's something that I would consider. I wouldn't want to do straight everybody faces each other. Head-to-head doesn't matter, so like, just set your lineups and that's it. But if you get a point for the victory, this is what the standings would have been. Gio would have finished in first with 99 points. Richard Mark would have finished in second with 98 points. Alex would have finished in third with 94. I would have finished in fourth with 93. Andrew would have finished in fifth with 84. And Joe would have finished in sixth with 79. And actually, everybody else would have finished in the same exact order. The only difference would have been the top four. Because I would have only ended up with 3 bonus points compared to someone like Gio's who ended up with 9 bonus points. Or 10 bonus points, actually. So it would have been a little different. I wouldn't have had to bye. I would have had to face Andrew this week. But that's definitely something to think about, definitely something to look at if you guys are into that. Probably not, but it is what it is. Now, to continue on a little small rant, I took a look. I crunched the numbers. I was like, man, what would my record have been throughout the whole season if I played anybody else's schedule? Anybody else. The worst record I would have had if I played anybody else. Now remember, I had a 3-10 record this year. The worst record I would have had is 6-7 by three players: Ramazan, Ed, and Ramiro. So very nice job, you guys, finishing out in the records you did, because you had a very hard schedule. 6-7, 4th highest points here. I still would have finished 6-7. Impressive. Maybe would have made the playoffs. Maybe wouldn't have, because if I had a different schedule, somebody else would have had a different schedule. Who knows what would have happened this year? But what really kind of pisses me off is when I look at the other teams, specifically Matt and Miguel. If I had Matt and Miguel's schedule, my team with the bad kind of running backs that I had. Now, I traded away running backs because I needed to make a move. My team was losing. I needed to try something. Maybe I wouldn't have traded away Latavius Murray. Maybe I wouldn't have traded away Frank Gore and all that stuff. But if I had Matt or Miguel's schedule, I would have been 11-2. 11-2 instead of 3-10. That's a complete 180. A complete 180. It's incredible. Alex, Richard, Mark, and Joe, I would have had a 9-4 record with your schedule. Gio, I would have had an 8-5 record with your schedule. And Andrew, I would have had a 7-6 schedule. 7-6 record with your schedule. And Georgia would have had an 8-5 record with your schedule. So some teams I would have had a worse record than they do now. Gio, your team has crushed the last couple of weeks, absolutely. And I would have been 0-2 against you, so there would have been my 2 losses. But others, I would have had a way better schedule than what I have now. But, like I said, there is no crying in fantasy football. So, let's look at this year. Congratulations, like I said, to Gio, whose team's been killing it. Most points this year so far, as I'm looking at the Yahoo Fantasy app here, guys. Richard Mark, 2 years in a row now going into the playoffs. Man, I'm looking at this year. It stinks kind of. Ramazan stinks that year you had. It is what it is. Listen, it happens to everybody. Miguel, the luckiest mother effer in the world. But what I did want to say, so if you look at the rankings, rankings show something pretty solid. 5 out of 6 teams made the playoffs. Now let's look at the other team. Remember the ultimate lineup I was talking about? Well, a lot of teams that, let's see, the ultimate lineup ended up being 102.04 for the season. So, this week was kind of low. 96 points was the ultimate lineup. That if you finish the ultimate lineup, you're hopefully going to win this week, which I beat it, but I lost once again. But just look at these top 6 teams to exceed the ultimate lineup and how many times they did it. Richard Mark exceeded the ultimate lineup 10 times. They were in 3rd place in the standings. Alex did it 9 times. He's in 2nd place. Gio did it 9 times. He's in 1st place. Joe did it 7 times. He's in 6th place. And Andrew did it 7 times, and he's in 4th place. I myself did it 9 times, and I'm in last place. And Miguel did it 4 times. 4 out of the 13 weeks he exceeded the ultimate lineup, and he's in 5th place. So as you see, there's kind of a continuing, what's the word I'm looking for? there's a similar scenario every time look at the rankings. Now you're looking at the ultimate lineup, who exceeded what, how many times they exceeded the ultimate lineup for victories. And you're noticing a trend. And that trend is that 5 out of the 6 teams that are in the top 6 of those 2 rankings right there are in the playoffs. So you can say, listen, as long as you exceed the ultimate lineup, you should be able to make the playoffs. As long as you stay consistent against everybody during the regular season, you should make the playoffs. Now, you had a bad beat last year. Rich and Mark finished in 7th overall in the standings, but would have been in the playoffs last year if everybody in the 6th spot, if everybody played each other. Same thing happened to me this year. I would have been first, but I finished in last. It's incredible. Usually these things show. I mean, like I said, 5 out of the 6 made the playoffs. So as I'm going to continue doing it again next year, I'm going to continue looking at the ultimate lineup, what you want to project for, what you want to get, and if you exceeded it, how do you do? Well, 5 out of the 6 that exceeded the ultimate lineup, the top 5 of the 6 made the playoffs, and top 5 of 6 rankings made the playoffs. So continue to strive for that. We can keep looking at stats like that, and you got a pretty good chance of making the playoffs. And as I'm trying to look here, guys, I mean, fantasy MVPs, we could do that. So fantasy MVPs of the regular season so far. So let's look at it. So quarterback, fantasy MVP this year, it's your boy Aaron Rodgers. I don't know, for some reason Ramazan traded him away, but he's been dominant. He's got 9 top 12 finishes out of 13 weeks. He's your number 1 fantasy quarterback on a consistent basis. He's 9 times he was a top 12 quarterback. Wide receivers, you got 2. Mike Evans, Julio Jones. 6 out of the 13 weeks, they've been a number 1 wide receiver. By far the most. You got Antonio Brown, Jordy Nelson, and T.Y. Hilton tied for 2nd place with 5. So as you see, 2 of my wide receivers in the top 5 in top 12 finishes. And Odell Beckham, he's got 4, so pretty high up there. Now, my problem was my running backs, and the running backs sucked, but it is what it is. Who is your fantasy MVP for running back? You got David Johnson, who had 10 of the 13 weeks finishing in the top 12, and you got a tie for 2nd, DeMarco Murray and Ezekiel Elliott with 9. Both killing it. David Johnson and Ezekiel Elliott definitely making their draft value worth it. Absolutely worth the first-round picks. You actually have a 3-way tie for your fantasy MVP at tight end. You got Greg Olsen, Jimmy Graham, and Travis Kelce. And I got to give it to Jimmy Graham because Greg Olsen had a huge lead in this. He's been terrible the last couple of weeks. But Jimmy Graham, for where he was drafted, I would say Jimmy Graham is absolutely the fantasy MVP for tight ends. And you got your kickers, and Matt Bryant has just been dominant all year. 10 top 12 finishes, so top 12 finishes so far to 13 weeks. He's dominated. So that's technically 10 out of 12 games, so he's been killing it. Greg Olsen, Jimmy Graham, and Travis Kelce had 7. I don't know if I said that or not. And your next best is Adam Vinatieri for kickers with 8, along with Dustin Hopkins and Brandon McManus. And your top defense of the year, if I let you guess it, you probably wouldn't know, but your fantasy MVP this year has been the Baltimore Ravens. Now, ranked in the NFL as the number 1 defense this year so far. 9 top 12 finishes in 12 weeks, obviously, but 9 top 12 finishes for your Baltimore Ravens. To recap, your fantasy MVPs, Aaron Rodgers, Mike Evans, and Julio Jones, David Johnson, DeMarco Murray, and Ezekiel Elliott. We're going to give them all the fantasy MVPs. We'll give the fantasy MVP to Jimmy Graham, Matt Bryant, and the Baltimore defense. That's going to be it for me, fellas. Congratulations to everybody making the playoffs. Congratulations to those making a bye in the consolation bracket. You will officially not be total full champions. But, like I said, waiver wires tonight. Don't forget, Thursday Night Football. Probably make the video during Thursday Night Football. Thursday night is a great big game. Oakland, Kansas City. Make sure you get your guys in the lineup if you want to play them. Get them out. If you don't, have a great night. I know this video was kind of odd, kind of a rankings, kind of a look back at the season. How did teams fare? How did they not compared to some stats? But I hope you all had a great evening, and I'll see you soon.